Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this Monday mountain weather update. My first stop is up in the Northeast, where you're right in the middle of a really good snow pattern with two or three different storm systems lined up. And Jay Peak, I want to focus on Jay Peak just a little bit. You've had over a foot of snow in the last 48 hours, but what really stood out to me was the season total 285. 285 inches. Let me take you to Alta. So far this season, 274. So Jay Peak up in the Northeast, in extreme northern Vermont, it has had more snow so far this season than Alta, Utah. That just jumped out to me. Absolutely incredible. So far, I mean, that has to be a great season up there. I've never skied Jay, but I'm sure that's got to be a good season. Out in Jackson Hole, you picked up a couple inches of new snow. You could still pick up another inch today or half an inch. And there's your view of Cody Bowl right now, a little bit obscured, but I'm sure it'll be a good day. 266 so far for this season at Jackson Hole. So you're doing well. And again, 285 at Jay Peak outdoes Jackson Hole so far. Here's radar across the west. Pretty quiet. We're just kind of waiting on this next storm cycle to settle in. Let me take you into Colorado. There's some very light snow across southwest Colorado. You might pick up some light accumulations out there today. Up in the northeast, lake effect off Lake Ontario. There is a little bit of snow up there in parts of northern Vermont. So that's where you're picking up some of that new accumulation in parts of northern Vermont. But there are storm systems lined up. So everything that's coming from the west will be moving to the east and up into the northeast. Here's the pattern on water vapor satellite imagery. So in the low levels, the oranges and reds are going to be your drier air aloft. The whites and the blues are going to be your moisture aloft. This is really the big daddy out here. I mean, this is the big trough. That's what's basically our next storm cycle. There's a little wave kind of rolling through the four corners where we had that light snow this morning. But that's about it for the west. So basically everything, and this will be the case down the road, everything will come out of the Rockies into the plains where we will see snow develop here this week. We've already got winter storm watches up over parts of Kansas and Nebraska for this. And then these storms are going to roll through the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and then up into the Northeast. So that's going to be your pattern most of the week. Okay, here are my best odds of snow, the snow dates to target. So let me take my camera off here. If you were to say, what are the best days to go if you want new powder to ski these areas, these are the dates. Big Sky, the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, interior BC, the Pacific Northwest, Tahoe, and the Northeast. So, for example, in the Wasatch, you've got some light snow tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. But really, the main event comes in afternoon, evening, 213, 214, early 215 with heavy snow accumulations. Moderate accumulations, 217. Tetons, maybe a little bit of light snow continuing today. And then it's really, though, the main event is late 213, kind of similar to the Wasatch, and then another shot 216, 217. Colorado, a little bit of, looks like potential snow coming in, but it doesn't happen until um, late 211 into 212, and then heavy. And then another shot of heavy snow for 214, 215. And I've got some pretty big bullseyes across Colorado during that time frame. In the Pacific Northwest, you're going to have to wait. It's going to be a long wait. It'll be a long wait for interior BC. Tahoe, the big storm comes in 213, 214 with potentially 2 to 3 feet from Tahoe all the way down to Mammoth. And in the Northeast, you've got moderate 213 and pretty heavy on 215, 216. So looking pretty good. Drilling down on Alta, Utah here on this forecast mediagram. It's effective about 9,000 feet. So very, maybe a snow shower comes through late on the 11th. But really out of the picture, late 213, 14, and 15 is that big storm system, and you can't see it yet here. Winds will be a little bit gusty, 20 to 25, late 11, 12, as that tiny little area of snow comes through. So highs at about 9,000 feet today, about 18. Tomorrow, it's about 12, and then it's much colder on Wednesday behind that little front. It may stay below zero all day up there at 9,000 on Wednesday. So again, that doesn't capture our big storm system, but it shows you what's happening over the next few days. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the jet stream forecast. So when I look at the jet stream, I'm looking for the brighter colors. At 30,000 feet, this is up there at the jet stream level. That's what's steering all the weather around. And you can really spot the pattern. What's the predominant flow? Is it going from west to east? And in this case, it is. And so everything from the west moves out to the east and becomes a major storm system because, quite frankly, all the cold air is available. This jet's locking the warm air off to the south. So let's start this lunchtime today. All right, here we are early tomorrow, Tuesday, February 11th. You can see some action coming through the west. There's a little storm coming into the Pacific Northwest. That'll roll down through Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, probably clipping Utah and Colorado. This is late on the 11th. There's early on the 12th. Another little wave kind of passing through the Rockies. So you have these sort of preceding tiny waves, and that's where you saw those itty-bitty little areas of snow through Utah and the Tetons as these waves kind of roll through. This is early on the 13th. All right, here comes our major storm system. You can see it, right? The dip in the jet, the area of white essentially where you have that missing red. So the jet has carved out a nice storm track here, supporting and coddling this low. This is 11 a.m. on Friday the 14th. Pretty major event. Heavy snow across the west, the Intermountain, dives into Utah, Colorado. This is late on the 14th into early on the 15th. And then that low moves out into the plains and becomes another large storm system for a lot of the Midwest, the East Coast, and the Northeast. So here's early on the 16th. Here is lunch on the 17th, another storm system kind of diving out of the northern tier into the Intermountain. You can see that little wave down through Colorado through late on the 18th. So the pattern remains active. Okay, snow accumulation over time. So on this map, again, the light blues are light accumulation over here, under 3 inches. If you see the greens, 3 to 6, yellows 6 plus, reds 10 plus. Okay, let's roll this ahead. So little wave passing through Wyoming, Colorado. That's late on the 10th. Moves out into the plains, becomes another storm system. You can see that might be ice potential. Maybe a little bit of snow on the northern side through the Ohio River Valley. And that storm moves up through the east coast where it could snow. Another wave comes down through Colorado here. This is late on the 11th out of Wyoming. That becomes a storm system for the plains with snow. Moves up into Chicago with snow and eventually moves into the Midwest and the upper parts of the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. Now, look on late on the 13th, early on the 14th. Here comes the biggest storm of the series. Major snow through a lot of the Sierra. You got snow through Nevada, Idaho, the Pacific Northwest, Montana, the Tetons, the Wasatch, southern Utah, Arizona, western and southwest Colorado. Here's late on the 14th. Snow continues in Colorado, residual snow behind it. And that moves out into the Midwest, the plains, the Great Lakes, and becomes another storm. But look at the flow behind it. It remains active, almost like a northwest flow pattern, squeezing out snow across a lot of the Intermountain. This is 11 a.m. Saturday 15th. And there you go. Big storm up in the Northeast. Here's late on the 16th, another storm, Pacific Northwest and Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. That continues to snow in all of those areas through the 17th. So the pattern does remain active. Okay, here is my official forecast. All of today through the 16th. We'll start in the Wasatch. Haven't changed anything there. 1 to 2 feet. If I've seen any sort of a trend in the forecast, I would say that it's possible the Wasatch could be trending up a little bit. Might have to bump up Little and Big Cottonwood Canyons above the 2-foot mark. We'll see. About 16 to 18 in the Tetons, less up in Montana, 3 to 6 in Idaho, very light up there in interior BC, but your numbers will be going up after this period, beyond 216. Same with the Pacific Northwest. Your numbers are going to go up after 216. So in the Sierra, 20 up on Shasta, more in line though around Tahoe down to Mammoth for 2 to 3 feet of accumulation. Haven't changed those numbers. Looking good through southern Utah and Arizona. In Colorado, man, these numbers continue to look good. Really right in that storm track and that bullseye. Western and southwest Colorado, I mean, in general, when you look at all the zones, it's at least 1 to 2 feet. But there are places that will go 2 to 3 feet. in western Colorado and southwest Colorado. So pretty good stuff. And parts of New Mexico looking at 1 to 2 feet of accumulation through Tahoe, Ski Santa Fe, and Angel Fire. Up in the northeast, still good snow in my forecast. Basically a foot of snow remaining for a lot of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and some places more. A little bit less in Massachusetts, 6 to 8. New York State, 10 to 14 up there. Some of that in Snow Ridge's lake effect. But that's a good pattern. I mean, we could still see another foot for a lot of the Northeast. All right, we'll end on the Western map. And again, things are holding. The storm track looks to be holding. The bullseyes, obviously, western and southwest Colorado, the Wasatch, parts of Tahoe down to Mammoth, and good snows through the Tetons, 16 to 18 inches through this period. Guys, thanks for tuning in here. Always appreciate it. Take care and have a great day.